House Speaker Nancy Pelosi gave an update on the CHIPS Act today, which is heading to the president's desk for his signature.
The House passed the act Thursday, ensuring $280 billion in boosted money for the semiconductor industry as well. It's part of an effort to better compete with international rivals like China. Pelosi said this legislation is an economic game changer.
It's very exciting. It's going to be transformative in terms of how it enables America to reassert itself as preeminent in the world.
CBS News Congressional correspondent Nikole Killion joins us now with more.
The CHIPS Act is heading to President Biden's desk for his signature. Tell us about the large picture, the big picture significance of this legislation, and when we will begin to see the economic benefits from it.
Well, in this case, it's the little picture because the semiconductor chips are, so tiny, and yet, they power so much of what we use in society, whether it's automobiles, medical devices, or smartphones, computers, and the like. And so that's why this measure is critically important, because it basically is a $280 billion package, $52 billion of which will really provide more investments to the semiconductor industry to be able to produce and manufacture more of these chips. It also provides tax credits to companies who want to invest in the United States in terms of chip production. We already know, for instance, there's a big plant that will be coming online soon, for instance, in Ohio through Intel. So, that's just an example of how having that kind of production here in the United States can kind of speed things up, because as we saw during the pandemic and even up until now, there has been a critical shortage with respect to these chips. So by being able to invest in more manufacturing of these types of products, the hope is eventually that could ease the supply chain. This also provides hundreds of billions of dollars in research funding for research and development, technology, and the like. So that is also critically important, because you'll remember this bill, which lawmakers had been working on for the better part of 3 years, was also aimed at increasing competition with China. So again, by kind of making these investments in research and innovation, the hope is that the U.S. can also remain competitive with its global counterparts.
Nikole, switching gears a little bit, this afternoon, the House Speaker also discussed Congress taking up legislation for an assault weapons ban. What can you tell us about that and where it stands?
Yeah, so the House is voting on that today. This came as a bit of a surprise to a certain extent to reporters and lawmakers, because initially the plan was all along for them to take up this assault weapons ban, and then they nixed it. And then today they said, hey, we're going to try to get this through. Look, this has been a priority for Democrats in particular, who do want to take a tougher stance when it comes to gun legislation. This will really mark the first time in about 2 decades that we have seen a vote on an assault weapons ban. Of course, the last one was enacted back in 1994, expiring a decade later. And so this would criminalize the sale, the manufacture, the possession, or transfer of semi-automatic weapons. It's unlikely to really go anywhere in the Senate. But again, we saw just this week on the Hill, gun manufacturers come before Congress. So this does remain a high priority to members of the Democratic Party in terms of advancing this type of legislation, even if it's just for the purpose of messaging and trying to take a stronger stance in light of all of the mass shootings that we have seen this past year.
A lot of people are looking for something to be done, or at least some movement in some direction. There's a lot of contention surrounding Nancy Pelosi's possible trip to Taiwan. There are also reports she could leave for Asia as soon as tonight. If she does visit Taiwan, what implications would that present about the Biden administration's stance on the one China policy?
Well, look, this does put the Biden administration in a bit of an awkward position. We know President Biden spoke with Chinese President Xi yesterday, who warned against any type of interference. As far as China is concerned, they would like to reclaim Taiwan. They see it as part of its territory, although it's unclear when or if China might eventually make a move, a military move, for instance, towards that end. Taiwan, of course, is a self-governing democracy, so therein kind of lies the conflict, if you will. And so certainly if Speaker Pelosi goes, she would be one of the highest U.S. Officials to visit the region, especially from Congress, in years. And so that is why there's so much attention on this potential trip. I did ask Speaker Pelosi today about the purpose of taking a trip to the region. Should she and a congressional delegation go there as soon as tonight? And, you know, basically what she said is that, you know, this is a region of critical importance to the United States, Indo-Pacific relations, especially being someone from the West Coast. She talked about the kinship, you know, with the Indo-Pacific, and that it is just as important as the transatlantic partnership, you know, that the U.S. has, for instance, with its European counterparts. So she talked about the ASEAN leaders who have been here to the United States, and you know, the importance of governance, security, economy, and really, you know, this sense of global responsibility that she feels members of Congress have. So she said that she would be excited should she and this congressional delegation make this trip, but certainly a pretty high-stakes trip if they decide to travel.
In many places, Taiwan is the Ukraine of Asia. Nikole Killion, thank you.